It really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism. You've got to reject men. They have to be painted as toxically masculine. You have to spit on true love. Like that is not a value that is universal. You've got to get rid of the love storyline and focus more on how she wants to be CEO of IBM.
When does Snow White come out?
When you have a big corporation like Disney, who I did movies for, and I worked for years for Disney, when we have to, as parents of an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old now, we have to watch the movie first just to make sure that there's not any woke nonsense, any indoctrination geared to our children. That is really telling.
It's strange to see the Hollywood celebrity crowd subordinate their art ethically to politics.
It's fear. It's fear. She wasn't able to quantify or to say what Kamala stood for, what the Democrats were going to bring into place.
We have a really important presidential election for you to vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
She is Snow White because of her skin color.
Whoever did Rachel Zegler's hair and makeup in this, it was a crime against humanity. The haircut gives Lord Farquaad vibes. Can we just get to True Love's kiss and happily ever after? What a horrific concept. These are mo-capped, eldritch horrors. They are disproportionate. They are disturbing.
I'm so disappointed in Disney. Rachel Zegler, who's Colombian, is fighting with the Israeli Gal Gadot about what's going on. Gal Gadot, she's from Israel. She served her country. Rachel Zegler's a freaking Colombian chick born in America. You don't know nothing about the Middle East. They can't even get dwarves in the movie because they're DEIing the dwarf. It's the wokeness, it's the feminism, it's the toxic masculinity.
She's also just a spoiled, entitled, narcissistic brat that she believes that she should be able to express herself regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. One of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project and thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
Disney also abolished its famous princes and princesses because they're gender stereotypes. Really? Can't we just have princes and princesses anymore?
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever.
They had her tweet out, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her," and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she like minutes later followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." And they were like, my God, what? They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, "Could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. But like maybe just take the tweet down." And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time. Son of that producer who got on the plane to go over and say, "Would you please, for the love of God, take this down?" And she wouldn't, was all on Instagram yesterday admitting it all.
Imagine being handpicked by Disney to become the next face of a timeless fairy tale, only to watch it all go up in flames while the world laughed. That's not just a bad dream, it's the real-life disaster that is Rachel Zegler's Snow White. This isn't just a flop, it's a full-blown meltdown, and believe it or not, it keeps getting worse. As if the backlash wasn't already catastrophic, even more of Rachel Zegler's old tweets are crawling out of the woodwork each one another, nail in the coffin of Disney's $270 million gamble. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash you can't look away from, and Rachel, she's still giggling in the wreckage. Seriously, picture it. A young actress once hailed as Hollywood's next big thing, sitting alone in a theater as her movie tanks laughing. Not because it's a comedy, but because, in her eyes, this is a win. Welcome to the cinematic disaster known as the Snow White Remake, a movie that was supposed to be Disney's next fairy tale crown jewel. Instead, it became a cultural punching bag. So what happened? How did Disney, with all its money and magic, turn this into one of the most hated films in modern history? Let's rewind. The moment the Snow White trailer dropped on YouTube, Disney probably expected applause, maybe even viral hype. What they got instead was digital annihilation. Within days, the trailer was obliterated with downvotes, millions of them. It didn't just break records, it broke trust. Fans weren't just unimpressed, they were furious. Rotten Tomatoes coughed up a humiliating 42%, IMDb users, a soul-crushing 1.6 out of 10, and Metacritic, that one limped in at a 1.2. These aren't just bad numbers. These are apocalypse-level stats, the kind that spark headlines and memes for years to come. And at the center of the chaos, Rachel Zegler. Now, let's be fair, Zegler showed some serious talent in West Side Story. She even snagged a Golden Globe. But instead of building on that momentum, she marched into Disney's arms as the face of their proudly woke Snow White. And from the start, she rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Confidence? Sure. Entitlement? That too. Humility? Not even close. She didn't just want to play a princess, she wanted to redefine her. Gone was the classic fairy tale charm. In its place, a modern boss lady warrior queen. Zegler declared her Snow White would be no damsel. She'd be a CEO. Fans? Oh, they'd love it. They'd line up around the block just to bask in her brilliance. Well, reality had something else in mind. Because, as her old social media posts resurfaced, so did the public's patience with her and with Disney's constant messaging over magic. Even the film's producer's own son publicly called her out on Instagram, dragging her for her smug attitude. Ouch. And then came March 2025. Box office numbers dropped, and dropped, and dropped. Disney had poured $270 million, maybe even more, once you count the marketing into this project. All for a reboot that nobody wanted, starring a lead who had already alienated half the fan base before the opening credits even rolled. But trust me, this story's just getting started. This wasn't just a stumble, it was a royal faceplant, a full-blown theatrical catastrophe. Analysts predicted the film would need to rake in at least $500 million just to break even. But when opening weekend hit, you heard that right, their own co-star. You didn't need a poison apple to knock people out. This movie did it all by itself. And here's where things go from bad to absolutely bizarre. Most actors, after a flop like this, would go into PR lockdown. You know, lay low, go quiet, maybe fire a publicist or two. But Rachel Zegler? Nope. She's still strutting through the rubble like it's a victory parade. She's doubling down, smiling, posting, praising herself like the film wasn't just declared DOA by the entire internet. It's like she's living in a completely different reality one where ticket sales don't matter and fan backlash is just background noise. Has anyone told her yet that being a movie star kind of depends on people actually wanting to see your movies? Because alienating half the country, not exactly the best career strategy. X, you know, Twitter's edgier reincarnation, absolutely exploded. Memes, jokes, savage edits. One of the top trending images? Rachel as the last woke princess, sitting proudly in a sea of empty theater seats. And if that wasn't brutal enough, Megyn Kelly jumped into the ring. She flat out said what a lot of people were already thinking. Rachel's career? Over. Done. Finished. Kelly reminded everyone of Zegler's 2024 meltdown, where she gleefully told Trump voters to, well, get lost. In no uncertain terms. Bold move, Rachel. Maybe not the smartest when your industry relies on ticket buyers from all walks of life. The backlash? Relentless. Online users started labeling her everything from delusional to insufferable. Some even said she was downright creepy-esque, especially if you caught that haunting grin she gave during a theater interview. The internet doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. But step back for a second and take in the bigger picture. This isn't just a Zegler problem, it's a full-scale Disney disaster. While Snow White burns, YouTube's dominating US screen time, pulling ahead of Disney by a wide margin. Over 50% of viewers are ditching the big studio machine to watch raw, unfiltered creators who actually listen to their audiences. In fact, one of the top-rated YouTube comments on the Snow White trailer summed up the whole thing perfectly. This trailer gave me depression. The comments cured it. Oof. Zegler, whether she knows it or not, is just the tip of Disney's melting iceberg. But wait, it gets even more absurd. Rachel didn't just show up and recite lines. She attacked the very foundation of the original 1937 film, calling it outdated and sexist. Instead of love, her version was all about leadership, which, okay, could have worked if it didn't feel like a lecture wrapped in a legacy-destroying package. Fans were furious. They didn't want to see their favorite fairy tale turned into a corporate TED Talk. And then came the dwarf debacle. Instead of hiring real actors with dwarfism, a community that's been waiting for representation in fantasy for decades, Disney scrapped them in favor of CGI creatures. CGI creatures. Can you blame the dwarfism community for being outraged? Many of them grew up dreaming of roles like this. The last time they had major spotlight? Maybe Willy Wonka. At this point, someone joked the only hope left is a live-action Smurfs movie. And honestly, that might actually be more respectful. And just when you thought the drama was over, Rachel throws in more fuel. Relax, people, it's just jokes, she says, but those jokes quickly spiral into yet another social media firestorm. Pro-Palestine posts from Zegler start clashing with Gal Gadot's very public pro-Israel stance. That's right, their own co-star. And suddenly, the internet explodes with rumors of an internal feud. Now look, regardless of which side you're on, there's something most of us can agree on. If you're trying to sell tickets to everyone, maybe, just maybe, don't alienate half your potential audience. But Zegler couldn't resist. Her now infamous 2024 No Peace for Trump Supporters rant? That was the icing on an already burning chaos cake. At this point, Zegler Snow White isn't just a flop. It's a full-blown cultural Symbola mirror, if you will. And it's cracking right down the middle. A reflection of a studio that refuses to listen, a lead actress too proud to pull back, and a fan base that's already tuned out, fed up with being lectured in the middle of their childhood favorites. Overboard feminism, political posturing, virtue signaling disguised as storytelling. The magic is gone, and the audience knows it. Now the real question, will this be the final straw? Could this disaster finally push Disney to ditch these soulless, preachy remakes and actually start creating new stories worth telling? Because one thing's for sure, this fairy tale has no happy ending, no prince, no dwarfs, and definitely no applause. If Rachel Zegler really wants to move forward, maybe it's time to sit down, listen, and stop assuming she knows better than generations of fans who just wanted their story back. Fairy tales used to be timeless, magical, unifying. Now, they're battlegrounds for agenda sand, everyone loses. But hey, maybe you're wondering how different is this new Snow White from the 1937 classic? Should we do a deep dive and compare them side by side? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where you all stand. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're first to hear when the next bombshell drops. Because if Disney keeps this up, the drama's just getting started. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.